provide some student perspectives on the journey that lies ahead for the class of 2013.
Another good thing these white coats are for is pockets. Good evening. I'd like to start by congratulating my fellow classmates and humbly thanking the faculty and members of my class who nominated us for the Arnold P. Gold Humanism in Medicine Society. Thank you so much. In addition, I would applaud my younger colleagues in the class of 2013 on completing the first chapter in their medical education and in receiving their white coats. Congratulations. I was asked briefly to address the class of 2013, reflecting upon my experiences and what exactly it means to me as a fourth-year student to be humanistic. I can remember just 3 short years ago, sitting in the same seats as you were, glad to have gross anatomy behind me, excited to wear my white coat, and having little to no clue as to what would come over the next few years. And I would argue that none of us really had any reasonable expectation when we started. Our clinical experiences were limited to the CLC, where the standard of patient care was, or at least the standardized patient was never truly ill or any social distress. And any decision I made didn't compromise them. Yet, I bet if we went through all of your personal statements that you submitted to the College of Medicine when you applied, that they would all have a unified ideological expectation, at least to some degree, of service, healing, and compassion. These are all things that we share. I want to share with you a very brief story about a patient who I'm positive that all of you will at some point see, or at least have a similar encounter, if not many encounters. My patient, a 45-year-old woman, was the type who spent more days in the hospital than not. Her harsh personality, plethora of arguably self-caused medical problems, and even her general appearance made pretty much every consultant, nurse, and social worker either sigh, cringe, or regret their career choice after entering her room. And completely naive to these notions and relatively new to the service, I looked through her labs, doctor's notes, nurse's notes, and went into the room to see her. The first thing I noticed upon entering her room was heat. I mean, the room was literally hot. There was a malodorous smell and a moaning interspaced with harsh sounds of labored, wheezing breathing. And as I pushed the curtain aside and introduced myself, I was met with the image of a morbidly obese woman lying in bed, staring at me with an expression that could no better be described than, "What now?" Or in her own words, "Who's this fool?" And I can remember feeling a little put off. But I washed my hands, pulled up a chair, never forget, washed my hands, pulled up a chair, and sat down at her bedside. I could tell she was taken aback by this too. As I got a history, I found that despite her initial disposition, she was quite funny and had a really great sense of humor. And I finished my history building a rapport in the process and moved to the exam. Now, every one of you is going to have a different method to physical exam. But over the last year and a half, I have learned to begin by quieting the patient, holding their hand, and taking a pulse. Literally 10 seconds into this, she teared up and began crying. She looked at me and said, "You are the first doctor," and let me have a side note here to tell you that no matter what you say when you walk in the room, when you're wearing this coat, people are just going to assume you're the doctor. She looked at me and said, "You are the first doctor to have put a hand on me since I've been here." Now, I want to remind you guys that I looked through all these notes, and there was nice history and physical exam in every single one. So all of you are going to have patients whom, for whatever disease process or physical personality characteristic, will empower your biases and test your ability to be humanistic, to act like a human and care. The Arnold P. Gold Foundation defines humanistic behaviors as those which reflect empathy, respect, caring, integrity, and service. These are things that Dr. Van Dermy mentioned. And allow me to elaborate. That's the empathy needed to understand different points of view and create a trust or partnership that is as paramount as building a differential. That's the respect for decisions and beliefs that we do not share or are in no position to make. Integrity to do what is right, not what is easy. You're going to be encountered constantly trying to take the easy way out. Someone's going to be wanting you to take the easy way out. You can't do it. Service, equal and the same, despite who we see when we walk in the room, despite if they have insurance or not. And finally, caring, regardless of our biases or self-satisfying desires. And that means not being kind because it makes you feel good or it makes you look good to other people, but because it's absolutely the right thing to do. Those are the qualities which will make you a complete humanistic clinician and person. In the patient I discussed, the simple act of placing my hands on her in a calming manner meant everything, not what I knew and not what skills I had to offer her. So I ask you guys, the members of the class of 2013, as you go on through your first 2 years and into your clinical experiences, to keep one thing in mind. Mastering all of Netter's anatomy, which I'm sure you've done, putting on Dr. Granville's tool belt, and loading up with Dr. Spike's ethics lectures in your pockets, memorizing the depths of Robin's pathophysiology, and utilizing all the clinical knowledge you could possibly gain over a lifetime will be utterly and completely squandered if you are not able to incorporate a simple, humble kindness into each and every one of your endeavors. So with that, I want to thank you for allowing me to speak. I want to congratulate my classmates again. They've certainly earned it. And I want to congratulate you and your families. Congratulations. And thank you again for this honor.